Namaste. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I hope you are all doing well. I hope you can see me and hear me well. Thanks so much for joining today. This is our first ever product live. We like to do this more often with this group to talk about the latest and greatest of Robocorp, an open source based Python based RPA that you would all love. So I'm also wearing a t-shirt that is loving RPA. So thanks so much again. Thanks for joining today. We have two amazing guests for the day. I'll introduce them very soon. But setting the context for this particular product hour, we wanted to help you who have started your journey on Robocorp to succeed, to move from certification 1 to certification 2 and understand the technology better, hear your questions, hear your feedback, and also have some quick conversations with each other. I would also like to show some cool demos, as probably that's the most exciting part of these product hours, where we want to keep it real, keep it to product, and try to go as deep as we can. At any point in time, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate and drop that in the chat box or in the QA box on Zoom. We are doing a bit of experiment with StreamYard and Zoom today. So there can be technical glitches here and there. So I apologize if there are any, but looks like the demo god is with us and not disturb the flow of the event. Thanks again. We will get started. Let me just go share my screen. Okay, hope you all can see my screen. Can somebody confirm on chat? Awesome. Cool. So we start with the product that you probably love the most, the VS Code extension. Unlike the Gen 1 RPA tools, we don't want you to be fixed with one specific IDE. We let you the option of using a very famous, very popular and very lightweight tool, which is VS Code. With an extension, Robocorp extension, you can get started as quickly as possible. So VS Code, I hope you all know this, is our platform where you can code Robocorp with a couple of extensions, the Robocorp extensions that we'll talk about in a bit. But before I get too deep into this, since we are in this era of OpenAI, and when everybody speaks about ChatGPT, OpenAI, conversational abilities of the robots and robots taking over the world, let's start today with a very cool demo that a colleague of ours have built. Eki, I think most of you already know Eki as well. So we have recently built a keyword which can get you OpenAI services with one single library, which is this OpenAI RPA.OpenAI library. We'll probably look into this code in bit detail, but let's see how it runs. So I'll do a Command Shift P and run robot. If you are on a Windows machine, you would do Control Shift P. Let's run this. This particular robot also uses new assistant that we have released. It's a new UI. Instead of using the RPA.dialog library, you can now use RPA.assistant library, which is a cool new library, which gives you more flexibility of building your UI elements, maybe buttons, text boxes, inputs, and also has the ability to show images, etc. So we'll look into this particular demo now. So it pulls up an OpenAI assistant. You have two options: either to create a text completion API, or you can also create images that you would have already tried. So let's see text completion. Let's say something nice about Robocorp Product Hour. Let's see what would the OpenAI do. So basically, what is now doing is the robot has authenticated my OpenAI account with the API key that I have provided. It calls the service of text completion with the input as a param, and it has, by the time I was speaking, has already returned some information on the screen. So can you read it? Robocorp Product Hour is a great way to stay up to date with the latest developments in Robocorp products and services. It's also a great opportunity to connect with Robocorp community and learn more about the product. I think it's damn accurate. You can know about the latest developments, yes, and also it's certainly a great opportunity to look around your room, your virtual room, and say hello to the Robocorp community, which is growing extremely strong and fast. So just to keep it more engaging, and to tell you that this is not a recorded session and it's a live session, I would ask some of you to give me another prompt. If you could give me a prompt, I will put that prompt, and let's see what the OpenAI is going to respond. And just to show you, because these are all developers, to say that this is not hard coded. Let's see if you have any suggestions for me for OpenAI prompt. Anyone? Is it on chat, on QA? Write a poem about spring. Okay, cool. Monica asks this question. All right. Okay, I think I wrote somewhere else. This is ought to happen. What is a live demo without something breaking? It's mostly because of my my screen. So let's run this. Okay, so create prompt, and that prompt will be write a poem about spring. Any other prompt suggestions? Yes. Oh, cool. Okay, so we'll see. Okay, wow, it's quite a lengthy poem. A time of growth and change, the season of spring has arrived, bringing with a new life. Okay, it's certainly amazing. I do not want to bore all of you by reading through this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this to clipboard and probably paste it somewhere in the chat so that you can see. We say this. Okay. Great. So Divyashree is asking, who is Tejus in Robocorp? Probably I'm not that famous, so I'm not going to try that prompt. Not just yet. Any other suggestions, or should we move on to the next demo? Okay, let's ask. Let's see what it can create as image. Any suggestions for image? Okay, I don't see one, so I will ask the cricket stadium in the USA. I want to see a couple of images. I can choose the size, resolution, maybe small resolutions. Say, let's create. Okay, we have a couple of options for images as well. I know. All of this are OpenAI features. Just wanted to tell you that it's quite well already integrated. It's just a couple of lines of code that you have to write to import the library. I will also talk about that in a bit. Now, moving on from this directly back to the reason we started this particular session, to help you move from your certification one course to the second. Uh, uh, you know, certification one is an introductory one. It gives you foundational information about your about Robocorp, the various products that we have, the VS Code, the control room, and how do you integrate these two, how do you run your automations, etc. But course two certainly is the one which helps you build your own bot, which gives you much more deeper understanding of keywords, error handling, debugging, and lets you experiment and explore the various capabilities of Robocorp. What we heard from you, the community, is that you wanted it to be much more crisp and snackable pieces of content instead of one large course. So we heard you, and we have already reacted, and we have released the new version of the certification 2 as recent as yesterday evening. I highly recommend you to go back and check out this new content. It's not completely new. It's just revamped and restructured for you to understand and follow the courses much easily. So let me share that with you right away. Cool. So this is the certificate level 2 course now, explaining you in multiple smaller chapters what you need to build, how should your robot be structured, and some of the keywords that you need to know, some hints, and finally there is a bonus chapter where you can create a beautiful looking dialogue for assistant that we just saw. It uses the new assistant version, which is based on a very very lightweight yet flexible UI feature. So that's course 2 restructuring. We would like you to go through this and let us know what you feel, what are the improvements that you want. It's going to be iterations, but it is certainly a lot more readable and a lot more logical, and hence we hope you make use of this structure. But if there are any other feedback, just drop us an email and we will work on that as well. To talk a bit more, let's go to the VS Studio. And C certification course. This is what you are supposed to build. I'm almost giving away the entire code for you, but at least you get to know the structure in which you can approach this particular course. So you open the robots order website, then you go through the orders. The orders is a CSV file. The CSV file, which has about 20 different inputs. You go through each of these line items, open the robot order website and enter these information. Try to generate a preview of your robot, take a screenshot, and then add it in a PDF. That is the process. And at the end of that process, you zip all of them into one archive, which is a zip folder. That's what you're supposed to do. And this is how, and this is how your robot flow should look like. At any point in time when you are building your robot, if you want to visualize your robot, you can use this new feature on the VS Code extension, which is the flow visualization tool. You hit Command Shift P, say flow, open robot flow explorer. That will take you to a flow explorer like this. You can easily visualize what you have built, various steps, and you can also probably get into each keyword and see what you have written so that you understand the logical steps of flow as well. Any questions on Flow Builder, on new structure of the certification course? Any feedback that you want to share? Any point where you are struggling if you are going through certification 2? Let me know in the comments. Cool. Let me take at least one question. Monica, is the Flow Explorer just for the view, or can you edit as well? At least for now, it is only for the view. In future, we can think of making it editable as well. This is a feature that's now available on Automation Studio as well, where you can switch between flow view and the code view as well. Yogesh is asking, do we have any video reference regarding the course? There is a small video now we have added in the course, which is about the process itself. But if you are asking about course video itself, we don't. Probably that's something that we want to work on in the next days. Stephen, can we export the flow into PDF? That's in the roadmap, currently not available as an option to export. But thumbs up for that question, because that will help us prioritize that feature in the engineering team. I now see that there are quite a good prompt for Dolly image. If we have more time during the end of the session, I will definitely try to share that live with you. Mark the monkey from Robocorp, Kurt, is a very good prompt. I would love to do that. Awesome. We will continue these questions. Please have them coming. For now, I'm going to introduce you to one of our community members who is extremely active on community, who has tried Robocorp features extensively, has an extensive RPA background as well. I am going to call Mark, who has joined us gracefully today. I will let him in.
Morning.
Hey, Mark. How are
Where I
you?
am. I'm good. How are you, Tejus?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for joining us today. Where are you joining us from? What do you do? What's your background? If you could please introduce.
Yeah, so I work as a consultant for the Green Tree Group. I'm in Ohio, the USA. So I've been doing this since 2019. I worked in the DoD for the United States Air Force. Prior to moving to Robocorp, we used Blue Prism, UiPath. I have familiarity with Automation Anywhere and Power Automate. So pretty extensive, at least with the tools I've used. I haven't been doing it for as long as some people, but I feel like my experience has come a long way since I've started.
Cool, awesome, and yeah, since you have a since you have spent so much time on various other RPA products, I think it is good for us to have you here and hear your feedback. I know we have connected offline and we have heard some of extremely critical, valuable feedback. So thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So what's your view on code-based solutions like ours, which is probably
I appreciate that question. I really like code-based solutions compared to a UI drag and drop kind of solution. I think there's some unnecessary overhead with UI solutions, and although it may have the ability for new users to pick it up and start easier, there may be some constraints. So, you kind of hit your ceiling a little earlier. And because it's a code-based solution, some things come easier. So integrations with GitHub when you're looking at, maybe for a higher level person, or people part of a team, if you're looking at what's the difference between one kind of pull request, someone's trying to merge, you can see, just from the code base, what the differences are. Whereas if you're using a UI solution, you can't exactly tell what the differences are unless they've built some sort of add-on or some sort of translator into that. So I think that it integrates well to mature tools like Visual Studio Code, which I love the extension, and I haven't messed around as much with the Automation Studio, but I know from looking at it that you can do a lot with that tool, and it does give a base for some people to start in. So I think you guys have kind of taken a very nice approach where you've used, a mature kind of traditional approach, but you've also maybe started where you can meet some people where they're at with the Automation Studio. So for me, I prefer the code base, but I know I'm not everyone. I learn that every day that, my opinions are my own.
Correct. But how was the transition? Because you had spent at least a couple of years on a couple of products, which were those drag and drop first.
The transition for me, that's a good. I didn't work in traditional development before, so I actually was a data analyst and analyzed sales data, and I did a few things with VBA macros and Excel. So I didn't have an extensive programming background. It's always been something that I wanted to get into just for simple use cases. But then as I took an RPA job, I found that the UI was as a good starting point because I could understand concepts, right? The loops, decision making, some conditionals. So I think it made a good foundation. But as my skills progressed, I found that it was heavily constrained, and I found as I did my own outside learning, I found that there was a lot I didn't know, and so I had an aptitude maybe to transition over, and I think maybe that made it easier for me. But
Mhm.
actually, the robot framework, with the way things are written, it reads just like a story. And so the transition from a UI based to a code based is using the robot framework, um, is actually pretty easy, maybe relative to other things, because
Mhm.
everything is a keyword, so it's a function that kind of is self-documenting and self-explanatory. And so when you look at what your program is doing, it's easy to see that I'm going to read a file, write the output somewhere, manipulate that, and it reads more like a story than other languages. So I felt the transition specifically to Robot Framework and Robocorp's solution was fairly easy for me. But again, I had that kind of self drive.
Okay. Okay. And how about Python? Like, did you have any experience in Python? Does it matter if
I actually, I didn't have much experience beyond a couple classes in college and some textbooks that I had kind of gone through on my own. So I hadn't used it in a real world commercial setting, putting together a solution or, doing other side projects. But I mean, I have since
Mhm.
done more in Python, and I know that, the robot framework is a little easier to get into. And it looks, you guys have the ability to use Python still, which is great. So if there are things that you run into that or if the user runs into and they want to use Python, they can, which is great. And if they want to extend their functionality, they can do that, which is
Mhm.
beautiful that the user has the option.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. And if to this larger community, what would be some of your inputs since you have completed the courses? What could be some approach for them, because I think most of our members do have some RPA expertise, do have some programming experience, but they may not know robot framework.
Yeah.
So how should they approach?
I think the Robocorp documentation is very extensive, and they do a great job of explaining and constantly updating. So if you ever have an issue, always report that, and
Mm.
they will definitely fix that documentation. So I think documentation is a place to start. I would say that if you're using the VS Code extension,
Mhm.
uh, you should definitely use the interactive console, and you
Okay.
should set breakpoints and debug and see what the functions do, not only through reading the documentation, but also through your own experimentation. If you can get familiar with the syntax and know what a keyword does, you don't have to know everything of how it works, but what the inputs, what the outputs are, what you expect versus what you get, and then you can test that. As long as you can do iterative testing, I think you can grow faster, because a lot of times we had a junior developer go through the Robocorp certificate training, and they weren't testing. So if you don't test, you hit a wall and you get an error and you go, what happened? And that's that's can be troubling when you don't know why things happen, and you don't know where exactly it failed, what the values of certain things were at certain points. So if you can set breakpoints and track and watch variable values, and learn exactly what is happening in your code and maybe do more smaller keyword specific testing. So break everything down into smaller components and bite-sized chunks, and then it'll be more manageable. So for anybody transitioning to the code-based solution, I would say, one, don't be afraid. Everybody's going to run into mistakes. I don't know what everything means. I always have to go back to documentation. I always have to open up the interactive console. So, don't give up, but just do everything in small bite-sized chunks as much as you can.
Okay, cool. I mean, that actually kind of reminds the ongoing topic about the OpenAI copilots and the ability of bots and AI to code as well. So it like being on platforms like VS Code with the GitHub Copilot, you could actually use those capabilities to your best benefit. Which probably, if you are on IDEs of Gen 1 tools, which are more in-house and more closed compared to VS Code and extensions. GitHub Copilot it's such an example, especially when you are learning, especially when you don't know all the syntaxes. Use code completion copilots. In fact, we had a very interesting quote from the partner who said they did not know how to use Python, but they needed an extension of Python function. They asked ChatGPT. ChatGPT provided the Python code, robot framework, Robocorp. Easily allows you to add your Python modules as just another library, just as a resource, right? Like that's the great thing about being in this space, which is ever evolving, where it does not stop you from using the benefits of the great things that already exist in the ecosystem, because it's an ever evolving ecosystem by itself. So
Absolutely, I completely agree. I think Gen 1 tools, because they are closed systems, you miss out on all of the functionality that's out there, on all of the new tools that people are constantly coming up with, and all of the maturity that has taken place over the recent history. So I think the fact that you can do a code-based solution using mature tools, it only enables you once you get used to it.
Correct. Cool. Thanks so much, Mark. If there are any questions for Mark, please type your questions. He's going to be around for a few more minutes for sure. So if there are any questions for him, please drop that in the chat box. I'm sure you're all at least motivated with
I don't blame anybody for not asking any questions. I don't know. Didn't deliver the best speech.
No, it's either this or that, right? Like, it could also be possible that they got everything and they take that inspiration directly and they don't challenge your
well, it's all good. I wish everybody the best.
Thanks so much, Mark. If I hope you can still be in the backstage. If there are any questions, in a few minutes from now, I will put you back on air.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll stick around for a bit.
Thanks so much. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye. Awesome. I see one more question, probably not for Mark. Sai Naga says, "Thank you, Mark." So that's the acknowledgement. I have one more question. Probably this is for the end. Okay, so we will go back to a quick demo before I introduce my next guest for the day. Let's go back to VS Code. Give me 1 second. I haven't started sharing. Awesome. Hope you can see my screen. Great. We go back to our very first demo. The reason I wanted to show you is for two. One is the RPA assistant, which is the new library I wanted to show, but also for the fact that the points that Mark was covering about documentation and using interactive console and various features that Robocorp does provide you while you are learning and while you are building your robots for production. So we'll start with the breakpoints, as simple as this. And whenever you have a question about any keyword, like for example, add text, that's the keyword. I know that this is coming from a library called as rpa.assistant. We have extensive documentation for each of these keywords in every single library, and that's the place is here. Let's go to the docs. So robocorp.com/docs. This is the documentation side, and here are the keyword libraries. So every single library that you use with RPA framework is all listed here. Say, for example, the RPA assistant, and every keyword has its documentation. It talks about the pattern. It talks about the description. Why is it used? If there are any default value for that. And an example that you can copy and then try to execute directly, right? So it's there for every activity, every single unit of task that you need to do. In this particular course that is level 2, you interact a lot with the website, and you would use rpa.browser.selenium library. And for example, if you want to know more about click element, so what are the parameters that you need to send, the locator, what type of locator could you use, what are the strategies, and some examples are also here. So this is the place where you would get information about every keyword in the RPA framework. You can read through this, but there's another cool feature that I want to show you on the VS Code, that any of these keyword that you saw, if you want to see the documentation, it is right there in your palette here. So let's say a robot documentation, right? So any of the keyword, say add button, it has the documentation directly pulled from the website. You need not even toggle between the browser and your VS Code. Even if you want to read through the complete library, say this, it pulls you the entire library. All its keywords, its explanations, and examples are right here within your VS Code. So you need not switch between multiple tabs. Everything is at your fingertips. If you look at rpa.http library, all the documentation is right here. Yeah. So please use the documentation site. Please use the inbuilt VS Code helper that can help you with the documentation. Also, the forum, we did mention about forum, multiple places. This is the base of community. We have over 1,500 posts only in 2022, and it's an ever-growing community of active developers. You can ask your questions whenever you are stuck. You can create some threads about discussions and feature requests that you want to ask. But any troubleshooting, you can ask in any of the categories. You need not even bother too much about what category to select. You can put it in the best category that you think, and we can move it across. So please use forum whenever you have questions. We also have Slack channel available. It is mentioned in the course documentations at multiple places, with the links where you can join the Slack group. We have over 12,000 people, and this number is growing every day, every minute as we are speaking. So please use that. And the last thing is about Portal. If you have already explored Portal, Robocorp Portal, it's revamped very recently, thanks to Tommy and our engineering team, who did a great refresh of this platform. It is a place for you to get started with examples. Whenever you have a particular use case and you need more than documentation, you want a specific case that you want to handle, there are already built examples that you can look at. For example, in browser automation, I want to do, what do you want to do? Say, for example, this web store order processing using work items with Excel. There is a detailed explanation of various steps, which could be very similar to your use case, and you can try it out directly. We have in data and AI, the example that I showed you this morning, which is the Open API ChatGPT example. It's built by our colleague, Eric. Everything that you saw in the code is available for you. All that you have to do is just hit try it out. You can either import it directly or download a copy for you, or take it from the GitHub. So it already downloaded this for me. Let me just try. I hope you can see the downloads files, and the entire code is here. This is the tasks.robot, and if I open, everything's here. So all you need to do is use Vault and store your OpenAI key, API key, and you're good to go. So there are over 80, maybe it's more already. As I checked a couple of weeks ago, it was 80 Portal examples that we had, and that is also ever growing. So whenever we think there is a feature or a use case that people need help in understanding, we build an example and put it out there. If you have some good ideas that you want to share with us, you want to build it for yourself, please go ahead and build it and share it on Portal. That's mostly about the demos. I know we are going towards the end of our hour, so let me introduce you to another guest for today. She's also a very well-known RPA developer amongst the community, has extensive experience in RPA across multiple products, but also is very well known for her innovative and creative content that she builds. I have Harika joining us today. Hi, Harika. Thanks so much for joining.
Hey, Tejus. Hello. Yeah, firstly, I should say I'm really amazed by the OpenAI, the feature that you've shown. And that's going to be my next thing that I'm going to try after this call. And yeah, I'll just give a little brief about myself. So it's been 7 years into industry. So I have tried a variety of RPA products because for me, I really love exploring different things when it comes to technology. And I have a YouTube channel of my own, which is a tech channel. I talk about Robocorp. I have already posted a lot of videos on certifications, level 1 and as well as level 2. So yeah, it's great, helping people about what I know and wanted to put out stuff over there. And I love doing that.
Great, great. Thanks for joining, and thanks for actually helping the community with the video contents. Some of them had asked about video courses as well. How much ever of documentation that we write and portal examples that we give, uh, I think we learn better with videos. So thanks for doing that, and I hope you continue to do that.
Sure, definitely. Yeah.
Cool. So when did you do your certification course, Harika?
So it was I think in September. During September I have done my certificate. 2022 I
Oh,
finished. So I can just talk about a little story, that I've already shared with with in our earlier discussion, because I think it's important to talk about it, because for any one of you who have the assumption that the Robocop is difficult to start it up with, or it's not easy, of something of that sort, then maybe this isn't true. Because for me, when I really wanted to clear off the certification, I was in that verge to finish it off. But usually when we go through the documentation, we feel that it may be kind of little boring or something of that sort. But it's not true with the Robocop's documentation. It just felt like as if I'm reading a novel. How it'll pulls keeps us captivative throughout the story or something of that sort. So I felt in that way. uh, when I started with level 1, it was showing the course duration was 2 hours. But I was trying to I was thinking like, I'm gonna finish up this next page or tab, and I'm gonna close it off. I was feeling that in that way. But it was really good. I don't even know, by end of the first level I have actually built a robot. So it was that amazing. I got a confidence that yes, I can build a robot using a Robocop. So it was so good, and the documentation was put it in that way. It will definitely help you to finish it off in no time. By the time you realize you already built a robot. So it was so good. Yeah.
cool, cool. Thanks. I mean that was the intention, to keep the certification course light, and
Mm.
you would have seen some humor as well, because we believe in making it more delightful than being it extremely boring and coding. Uh, yeah, so we wanted to keep it as a balance, and we're grateful to hear these feedback, that the community likes these courses in this way. I think there is a question for Mark, but I'll ask the same to you, Harika.
Okay.
It's from Swaroop. Like, do you see any benefits of using Gen 2 RPI tool in contrast to Gen 1? And any thoughts? Like, do you see this Robocorp style of Gen 2 RPA versus the Gen 1? Maybe from the developer's perspective first.
Actually, there are different perceptions on this, because I can't answer it straight away in a single liner. Because, as Mark was mentioning, maybe when you're starting up with zero knowledge of what it is, and doing and everything, um maybe but I don't think, because everyone is saying that it's Python, it's like so much, I don't know Python, I cannot do it. But it's not that way. You just have the libraries there, you just have to import them and do whatever you wanted to. Like, you can customize, you can just read through the keywords, and you can understand, and then apply it on your requirement. But if at all, if you feel it's so much and it's overwhelming, maybe as a fresher you can start it up with something of that sort, and then you can upgrade. Because upgrading is very important when you're in in IT industry, right? Because every day new technology comes up, and if we just stop there, it's not gonna help us, right? So definitely you have to upgrade yourself, keep learning up with everything that comes up in your way.
Correct, correct. And what type of approach should they actually follow? Should they see from courses? Should they start experimenting more than courses? Are there some examples, especially on your channel? Do you prescribe something that they can get started easily?
On my channel, I have certification level, like level 1 certification was clearly explained on my channel. And if you ask me from the documentation perspective, in middle of the documentation, we have code snippets, right? So instead of downloading the whole project by themselves, you can have the code snippet and you can just experiment on the studio. So that will give you the achievement feeling, right? Because you're not downloading the whole project, you're doing by yourself, you're seeing what's there, and you're experimenting a little bit and applying it on something else. So I would suggest, if at all you wanted to learn, the first thing that you should do is experiment. See, if you just take the code, try to do if there is something else, try to see and try to do different things with that, try to apply on something else. And if at all you have experience on other RPA tools, try to see how differently you can do with this tool. So that comparison will definitely help you, and keep up that enthusiasm and take you somewhere after a while of experimenting. So that's what I feel, because it'll definitely give a different perception, and also approaches also will be different, right?
Okay. Okay. Cool. I think we are almost on time. I want to speak to you so much more, both you and Mark. But if there are any questions that you want us to answer, I will also pull in Mark. If that's okay, Mark, with you, I will. And Harika as well. Thanks so much for being here. Let's look at some questions. Do you have an example of structured and unstructured PDF document import into ERP systems? We do have quite a few PDF extractions, both structured and document AI. Harika or Mark, have you tried any of these on Portal?
I haven't tried anything on the portal, but I haven't imported them into ERP systems, but I've read unstructured documentation or unstructured data from PDF and structured data. So I've done a little bit.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, almost the same, not from the portal, but yeah, I tried while working on some certification levels.
Okay. Cool. What is the programming prerequisite to start Robocorp from the beginning? An anonymous attendee. I think both of you have covered this in some sense. And any last thoughts on that?
Not as a pro. You don't have to be a pro to start it up with, but as an you start, you will gain eventually. Like as Mark mentioned, if you do debug, that's the best way to learn, because you know what's happening inside the code, right? So just start it off. You will definitely be a programmer by end of it.
Correct.
Completely agree.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Mark, I know you have a hard stop now. Thank you so much for joining. It was wonderful to have you, and we hope to meet you in person as well.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you so much.
Let you go now. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Mark.
Awesome. I know we are just a minute away from the scheduled time. Do you have anything to share, Harika?
Not in particular, but yeah, if you ask me some of the tips that I can provide you for people who are trying to clear off the certifications, yeah, level 1 you just start it up with, because that's in where you can gain a lot of knowledge. By in level 2 also, I think most of the part is already been cleared in the demonstrated in the documentation, but a pieces of chunks would be left for us to clear it up by ourselves. So that is really needed, because whenever we try to question our capabilities, that's where we come up as a experienced person, right? So I think once after we clear the certifications, that itself is a great knowledge gainer thing. And also the portals that you have mentioned in the forum and the Slack and everything, that should be a real source where people can actually go to put up their questions and also get the answers for their questions. Yeah, I think pretty much that's it. Because there's lot to learn actually.
Yeah, yeah, cool. And thanks again for helping with your thoughts, with your approaches, and also especially the content that you make. Appreciate, and thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate your
My
time.
pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you for having me here.
See you, Harika. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, so thank you so much, the community. I hope we answered most of your questions. It was fruitful. I see a couple of more questions. Nadeem wants to know about POC for partners. Nadeem will reach out to you with connecting with partners as well. I see. How do I get sales pitch? Nadeem, again, we will connect on this particular topic offline. Tejus at robocorp.com, or I will look through the registration form and reach out to you, Nadeem. Okay, great. Thanks so much. This was the first edition of Robocorp Product Hour Live. There are many more to come. I am from Bangalore, and next time we will be hosting this with Tommy in Bangalore in March, and we will continue this going. Please share your feedback. I'll send a feedback link right after this call as well. I would like to thank my Robocorp team for wonderfully organizing this. Tommy for helping me through day one to this day. Gina, Amanda, and Dave for helping with everything else to make this look beautiful. Thanks so much, guys. It was nice to see you all, and I hope to see you in person sometime. Take care.